My name's Keith Baldwin. I used to be the CEO and Deputy Chairman of Allied Dunbar Assurance and also the Chief Operating Officer of Zurich in the UK. And I was with those two companies for some 35 years. And during that time, I got to know Drew extremely well. In fact, he was a great supporter of the business, a very good colleague, and he and his wife Carol became good friends. And during that time, he used to be one of the very top producers. And as a company, we could always rely on him producing high volumes of very good quality business, because one of his most important issues was always to make sure that his clients and customers were very satisfied. And Drew possessed enormous energy, and he used to put that into his business, and so we were extremely happy with the business relationship we had with him for many years. Allied Dunbar used to be well known for its motivational methods for its staff, its agents, its managers, and in fact we were well known throughout the entire industry for running very successful conventions, one-day events. We used to have very motivational processes and systems inside the sales environment to help our guys succeed. And certainly Drew always used to take on board all those sorts of ideas, and he used to in turn use them with all his staff, and they were incredibly successful. And the most important thing about Drew was he always led by example. He was someone who would care for his staff, he would teach them and train them properly, and he was never afraid of going out and putting himself on the line and showing his staff how it was done. And so as a manager and a motivational leader, Drew is a past master, and in fact he's someone who I often used to use in my capacity as leading the company to go and ask him and say, would you mind speaking about this particular subject or talking to this group of salespeople, because he could really inspire them and do the things that we wanted. As with all large publicly quoted companies, being the CEO brings with it its own pressures. And certainly when you have shareholders who are putting demands on you, and your parent company who's putting demands on you, and equally your customers and clients, then it produces quite an interesting balance and sometimes a conflict. And it's very important, particularly in a sales organization, as Allied Dunbar was in those days, to have people around the country who are at the very top of their profession in terms of sales, that you can call on them to ask them to demonstrate how they run their business, why they run their business the way they do it, and to help you actually motivate many others who are not quite as successful. And in fact, having Drew and several others like him around the country meant that as CEO, it took a certain amount of pressure off me, because I knew that I had really top-class people who could go out, talk to people, motivate them, help me to help the company, and in turn make sure that the shareholders and our customers were very, very satisfied. So, and I just wish in my time I'd had a lot more Drews around the country, because he was inspirational in lots of things he did. Any franchisee that joins Drew and his business will certainly get a number of things. First of all, a very, very well thought out business concept and business plan. Secondly, he'll get someone who is a great leader and a great motivator. Thirdly, they'll get a certain amount of financial backup and financial inspiration, as it were, to actually go out and do the business. But most importantly, I think they'll get someone who is very hands-on and caring, and will help them get through any of the short-term business issues which they may encounter wherever they're based. So to my mind, the franchise operation that Drew is setting up and running will actually enable people who before hadn't been used to running a business run that business very successfully, because they'll know that they've got someone who knows how to run a business, that has the right systems, IT processes, and different mechanisms to help them do the business in the most efficient and effective way. In words of one syllable, they should produce very, very big profits for themselves.